Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, Pep Talks. I am your hostess, Cat Frisby, aka Pepper, a licensed realtor in Colorado, and these podcasts are my real estate podcasts. In these episodes, I am interviewing professionals in every realm of the market of Colorado real estate, as well as talking about real estate myself. So hopefully you'll be able to pick up on tips, tricks, and tools for you to be able to buy, sell, or invest in the Colorado real estate market. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pep Talks. Whether you're listening to this podcast or watching it, I greatly appreciate that you're here with me today. I am your hostess, Cat Frisby, aka Pepper, licensed realtor with Compass, and I am here today with guest star and actually realtor teammate at Compass, Brian MacDonald. Hello.
Hi, Cat. How you doing, Cat?
Good. Thank you so much for joining today.
You bet. My pleasure.
You know, we all have our unique talents as individual players in our team, and one of them that shines inside of you is data. I love listening to your brain on data.
I appreciate that. I came out of the biotech industry where we used to say, in God we trust, all others must have data.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Well, I came to real estate, with that mindset, and everything we did in my prior life had to be based or grounded in a decision based on real live data, especially when it comes to medicines and laboratory systems and so forth.
Which you worked in, right?
Yeah. We used to sell, if you've ever had your blood drawn, I've probably sold the analyzer that does that.
Oh, wow,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
more credentials.
well, what it did was cause me to be focused on data, because so when I came to real estate, I realized, wow, there's all sorts of data available to the market, especially since real estate, both residential and commercial, are so big, right? They're huge parts of our economy, and not just the home sales or the commercial real estate sales, but you think about all the different industries that are affected. There's the lending industry and the title industry and services like, construction and so forth, and all the builders. So there's a lot of data out in the market. Most of that data, though, is sort of oriented towards helping businesses make business strategy decisions. But what we're most interested in real estate is what data does the homeowner or the home buyer really want to use and could use that to make decisions about the price of their home, when to sell it, and when to buy it.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Yeah. I mean, so the most of the data really boils down to the things that they want to know is, how do I price my home? When should I sell the home? What season is best around here? And those things are all that data that's available on the multiple real estate websites, but they're not necessarily, it's not necessarily easy to know what's most important for a non-professional. But you and I know there are certain things to really focus on. How to assess a home's value based on comparing it to similar sold homes. And that's called a process called comparative market analysis. We take a few comparable homes, we make some adjustments like an appraiser might, and then we say, well, based on that, it's worth this much money. Maybe you put it on the market for this price. Pretty simple stuff.
So what types of data should most homeowners be interested in?
Yeah, they should be really focused on local data. I mean, most of the things that we hear in the news are national level news. Last month, home prices appreciated by 3%. But that doesn't really help you here in Boulder, right? You need to know what Boulder prices are doing, or maybe even something more specific to a neighborhood like Chautauqua or, somewhere else in Boulder, so that you know how the houses are selling there. So you should have a realtor pulling from the multiple listing service, which is really geared towards giving that type of data. The days on market, how long does it take to sell a home? Whether home prices are trending upward or downward, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that said, recently we've seen a number of listings on the market that have stayed on the market longer than usual, and many have reduced their price. So what are the effects of that, and how can that be avoided?
Yeah, there's a saying in real estate that says your first offer is your best offer. And it kind of relates to this. When you go on the market, you have to think about there is a number of buyers that are in the market today that are looking for a home like yours. When you go on the market, you want to be properly priced. So those 15 or 20 or 100 buyers, when they see your house, they go, oh, that's really great for my price range. You don't want them going, gosh, that's not much house for that price, because that would be an overpriced home. So you want them to get excited to come see it. So the most important thing is to price it so that multiple buyers do come and see it, and it generates an offer in the first several weeks. Because we know, and history kind of proves out, that if your home sells sooner, maybe it was way underpriced, but probably it's because you properly priced it, and the buyers at that moment know that they better put their best foot forward on an offer right now to get this very new home purchased. Otherwise, some other buyer's going to get it. And that's when your home sells for the most it can sell for.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of little tricks you can do with that data too. Like if you're just under a certain number bracket, like you say, house is 59995 instead of 600, then the people or their realtors that are searching for these things you're just inside of their bracket. Maybe it's, but it's a nice tool to use to be able to attract more buyers.
Sure, you usually don't want to price your home just over a major mark. Like if it's a $600,000 home, don't price it $600,001 because that person. No, most buyers buy at the top of their range, right? So if you're searching up to 600,000, that's what you're going to put in. You're going to miss the one that's priced just slightly higher. You usually want to be under that cut mark.
Yeah, as much information in there as possible too. So could you give us some other examples of how data has helped you both with your clients and likely with your work?
Yes. The most important thing that I feel that buyers and sellers need is the confidence to move forward. And that confidence, for me, comes through showing data that is related to the sale of the house. So that the seller can know, okay, that really is the best price. So instead of just coming in with maybe 3 comparable home sales and saying, well, your home is about like this, so maybe it's in this price range, I like to show a number of different results. I do something called Scatterplot analysis, which may be too complex for most people to do, but it comes as an offshoot of my past data-oriented kind of background. But I'm able to compare a great number of homes that have sold in the area to the subject home and come up with an estimate of price based on 5 different metrics. Comparison to overall square footage, comparison to dollars per square footage. And by showing a seller, for instance, 5 different ways to come about calculating their price of their home, then they get more confident because they see that I'm looking at it in different ways. More importantly, for most people who don't do that kind of analysis, a good CMA, which is again the comps, looking at the county assessor's records in this area, our county assessor subscribes to a valuation model called RealAVM, which is usually a pretty good valuation estimate. There are real estate websites like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor that all have estimates. And so I like to show all of those estimates to the seller and say, look, here are all the different ways you can look at value, and then they get a better sense of, okay, it really is in this tighter price range.
Sure, and when you are a homeowner, I mean, you have so much emotional connection to your home that it can be difficult to price it. So looking at it from an outside perspective and just realistically can be really helpful in making it comfortable for figuring out that price.
You bet. And, aside from that kind of analysis and showing, past home sales and speed of sale, days on market, or whatever the data is you're showing, one of the things that's really helpful is to bring clients to similar listings and let them see what a similar home like yours is listed for now. How does yours compare? And that really gets them a sense of, okay, this one is for sale. It's a lot like mine, but it didn't sell yet. So now what does that tell me about how I should price my home? Maybe a little lower.
Right, yeah. And then when you're speaking with a buy-side realtor or even a buyer maybe not represented, you can show them how you came to the number that you did, just analytically.
Yes, and that gives them so much more confidence to move ahead because they see some basis for why is it priced at this?
Right.
And that helps them move ahead. And it also helps when a seller's home doesn't sell quickly, and maybe it's time to consider moving the price downward a little bit. Then it helps them make that choice quicker so they're not delaying because they have the data to be able to say, yeah, I've already seen that. We tried a higher price, but I'm ready to go down.
So what data should buyers be interested in?
Good question. Buyers and sellers have pretty much similar interests, but a buyer is looking forward, and they're usually asking us, what is this a good investment? Is this priced right? Am I paying the right price or is it too much? And how long has this been on the market? Do you think I could negotiate? And so they can benefit from the same kind of analysis. We can't really do that until they find the home that they're really interested in. Then we can go back and look up comparable home sales. We could look up how long is it taking homes in that area to sell. And we can look up the comparison of list prices versus the actual sale prices and so forth. And then we can give them an estimate of, based on the sales history in this particular area, the price is trending up. Maybe it'll continue to trend up. And then we can help them see that that's the case, and maybe they can move forward.
Oh. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on, on the surface level of all of the data and information you've shared today?
It sounds complex, but if you just focus on a few key metrics, that'll really help give your clients the confidence to move forward.
So I know that you've come here with several graphs that are very helpful. These are images of explaining everything that you've talked about so far today. Could you go over them?
A simple example of how a buyer might benefit from you digging out the right kind of data to show them. Because a lot of people see this. This is a graph of home price appreciation over the last 25 years. This is kept by the Federal Reserve. But this particular graph is national level data, and it shows in 2008 the price reduction because of the Great Recession. And this is national data, but how about somebody here in the state wanting to move ahead with buying a house? Will they be nervous that they could get caught in the same kind of bubble? Are we in a bubble is a common question, right? Well, that's where getting more local data, like this graph of Denver, to show the same time period, but how it was far less affected by the recession than a lot of big cities around the country and nationally. So this just particular piece of data here would help them know that they could be more confident. If we ended up into a recession, it probably wouldn't be as bad here in this area.
And don't you have a couple of other graphs as examples that really came from your design?
Yeah, one of the things that I brought with me from my biotech career was the way that scientists evaluate scientific data using what's called scatterplot analysis or regression analysis. And what that involves is, instead of just picking one or two or three comparable home sales and then trying to estimate the price of a subject home, it takes looking at a number of homes, maybe 30 or 40 or 50 homes that are not the best comps, but they're close enough that, and then they come from either the neighborhood or the town, and then you plot various characteristics about them on graphs, and then use that to estimate the value of a home based on a certain parameter. So for example, looking at this one, I've taken about 30 different homes, plotted on a graph. Excel draws a line that does the best fit between all those data points. And these data points are, for example, the price of the home, price that home sold for, versus plotted against the total square footage Another way to do it is the price the home sold for versus the above grade square footage or the dollars per square foot. I do 5 different of these, and then what you do is you enter the graph at the square footage of the home you're looking at. Like this one is 3,843 square feet. Go up to the line and then follow it over, and it suggests what the price of the home would be if it were typical for this group of homes. Well, if you pick the group of homes right, then it'll come really close. And in this case, it came up with $1,180,000. And so then I entered the next graph at how many above grade square feet? 2,507. And it suggested, well, based on that metric, most of these homes would price your home at $1,170,000. So then you aggregate all those together, and I typically do it on a graph like this, or just a summary sheet, where I put all the valuations for each of those graphs here. And then I take valuations from the real estate websites like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor, and then also from the county assessor site, and then show those all to the client at once.
This relieves so much headache for people in figuring out the pricing of their home, because when it comes to buying or selling or investing in real estate, price is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's what you want, and then what does it cost?
Yeah, exactly.
And this relieves so many arguments that could be had between people, and just takes pressure off of time and gets everything working. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing all of this. It's genius methods that you have here, and I hope that this helps all kinds of people, buyers, sellers, investors, and fellow realtors. So
I appreciate that, Kat. Thanks a lot for letting me share.
yeah.
If you're out there as a individual looking, to figure out when you should sell, certainly contact a professional like Kat or myself. But
How can they reach you?
If anybody has any questions for me, I'm easy to find here in Boulder County. Again, I'm Brian MacDonald.
That's BRIAN.MacDonald@compass.com. That's all for today's Pep Talks Real Estate, you guys. Thanks so much. Please like, follow, or subscribe.